What's going on, guys? Robert here from Rob is Tech, and in this video I wanted to give you guys a demo of the cameras on the brand new second generation Nexus 7 from Google. You have your 1.2 megapixel front facing camera, your brand new 5 megapixel rear facing camera, and I shot photos and videos with both cameras and in low lighting and in normal lighting and even outdoor lighting. I want to go ahead and take a look and see how good the image quality really is on a $200 tablet. Let's take a look. Alright, so taking a look at some of the pictures that I shot with the tablet, this first one here you can see is kind of a little bit overblown. The red detail in the umbrella looks really nice, but with the overblown nature of the image, it kind of ruins it. But the next one, it's a little bit darker, and it kind of had a better time to expose for the shot and focus for it, and it looks a lot nicer when there's kind of that contrast between light and dark. The next one on the patio, this was taken in a little bit more of a shaded area, though it was outside. It also looks pretty nice, and there's a lot of detail, just kind of the focusing is a little bit, and you can see kind of on the edges, it looks a little bit more exposed than I would like it to be. Going to some of the photos in the downstairs, as you can see here, again, this is with the rear camera. This first one, it just kind of overexposed again with the light. I'm not sure about the lighting, it just didn't really like those lights, but when I kind of move away to more natural room color, as we can see with this shot of the studio lights, it does look really good. There's a lot of good focus. The color reproduction is very nicely done. The blue is really that blue, and as you can see, though it's kind of a mess up there, the color reproduction is very well done, especially with the dark tones in the wood and the light in the blue. It's nice. Here's another shot of some billiard balls that I took. Doesn't exactly look quite in focus, but it looks like a decent shot. And here's another one on the table there, as you can see, which looks relatively decent. I also snapped a couple pictures with the front-facing camera only inside. Outdoors, it was just not working very well. This is a shot of the billiards, again, from the front-facing camera this time, which you can see, it's passable, but you're obviously really not going to be taking photos with the front-facing camera. And here's one more shot of the studio with the front-facing camera. Color reproduction is so-so, which is kind of what you'll see in the video ahead. It looks okay. I mean, it's passable, but come on, 1.2 megapixels as far as cameras these days for taking pictures is just not going to be passable. So I really wouldn't recommend taking pictures with it unless you love taking those Instagram selfies. But the real star of the show is going to be probably the rear-facing camera, which in normal room lighting does a pretty good job. Outdoors, you really got to kind of make sure that you're setting that exposure right, because if you don't, it kind of overexposes. Just take your time, shoot, make sure you kind of set things up right and kind of manually adjust, and you should get the right shot. Again, these are just raw shots that I just shot automatically from the tablet, and they were so-so. Now, let's take a look at the video. Alright, so this is an outdoor test with the Nexus 7 using the built-in microphone. This is the rear 5 megapixel camera. And let's kind of walk around here a little bit. This is in full sunlight here. Don't really have any covering. Now I'll walk a little bit more towards a shaded area. Still outdoors, but now under a little bit of shade. You can see it kind of exposing on the fly there. And this is just a quick outdoor test with the front-facing camera. It's going to be kind of the same. It's kind of auto-exposing on its own here, but I just wanted to show you quality difference in really good light outside. There's the camera, sorry. With, good quality outside, this is what the camera looks like. Let me go into a little bit of a darker area like I just did. Kind of auto-exposing there, as you can see. This is with the front-facing camera. Now we are indoors here with the rear 5 megapixel camera. This is indoors with a lot of light. As you can see, I got a lot of light in this area here, and I got these umbrella lights. I'm going to go back to the area here. As you can see, there is the blue color reproduction of these. These are blue LEDs, which at least on the screen are showing up very nice. The white balance seems to be really good. The color reproduction seems to be very good, very natural. Let me sit down here, see if it focuses on these lights. These are white lights. As I shift around here, I notice that the focus needs to adjust a little bit. But that's just because I'm sure because I'm going in and out of different objects close and far. So with a lot of light, it looks very good. It's passable. Now let me go ahead and move and let it focus. Now let me move to this side of the room where it's much darker. There's still some light coming in. It's definitely it's noisy. It's noticeably more noisy, but it's still relatively passable. If you had any kind of other light above it, I'm sure it would be better. But in total darkness, it just becomes more noisy. This is the indoor test with a lot of light on the surrounding. As you can see, there's kind of the back here. Let me go to here where there's a lot of light. We'll do the same test here. Color reproduction is not as good as the rear-facing camera, but still relatively accurate. I still think it does a pretty good job with the blues, but it doesn't seem to be as rich as the other one was. Let me sit down here. So as you can see, with a lot of light, the front-facing camera is definitely passable. White balance seems to be pretty good. I think seems to be fairly decent. With a lot of light, it looks okay. Now going into low light, where the 5 megapixel camera had some issues, I'm not having too much faith in this. So as soon as we drop the light, you'll notice it immediately gets very noisy. This right here is almost unusable just because it's so noisy. And that kind of has to do with the low resolution of this camera. So it's very, very noisy. Let's go over here where the darkest spot was in the room. Still some light on the other side, but it's very noisy. In low light, it just is not really worth using. Still, you can see my face. I'm not completely in the dark here, but it's not as good as in coming in light. As soon as I step back to the light, it's okay. So, there you go. Alright, so overall, my quick thoughts. I think the rear-facing camera, the microphone kind of seems to be a little too sensitive for my taste. The audio seems to be clipping a lot, even though I'm not talking very loudly, which kind of seems to be weird. As far as the camera quality goes, outside, the exposure just kind of seems to change a little bit too much for my taste. I could really, never really get it where I wanted to. Of course, you could do a little bit of post-production work on it, and I'm sure it'd be fine, but this is the raw video I'm showing you guys. So I don't know how it is overall outside, but inside, with my experience, it seems to do a lot better. If you have a normal room lighting, or even a little bit more room lighting than normal, it seems to do pretty good. Color reproduction is very nice on the tablet. I'd say that even though, besides it looking really good on the screen, the color reproduction in the raw video was really nice. The blue in the LEDs was really blue. The darkness of the wood was really dark. The camera color reproduction was actually pretty good. As far as low light goes, though, it was better than the front-facing camera. That's, no doubt about that. But as far as is it usable, if you're in a low light situation, you really don't want to be filming with one of these anyways. You don't even want to be really filming with your phone in low light situations. But could you pull it off? I guess, but it's going to be a little grainy. As far as the front-facing camera goes, as far as video quality, it was okay. Outside, it seemed to do fine. The exposure thing was still kind of a little bit of an issue, though. The microphone was much better, though, on the front, but obviously that's because, you're talking this way and the tablet's right there instead of, holding it and shooting it this way and the microphone's on the back. That's to be expected. Inside, it was also better as well. The color reproduction wasn't as good. The color seemed to be a little bit more soft, and it wasn't as sharp as the 5 megapixel on the back, and of course, that's because of the lower resolution. The other issue, of course, was low light. As soon as I got into the darkness just a little bit, you saw the white balance and the exposure change, and it just got really noisy really fast. So as far as low light goes with this camera, I would not want to use this thing in low light, especially the front-facing camera. It's just kind of a mess. Could you do it? Yeah, but I don't think anyone's going to put up with that unless you're Skyping with a family member or something like that. If you're trying to make like a video for YouTube, I don't think anyone's going to want to watch it with that much grain in it. But overall, I'd have to say that the cameras are nice to have. They take decent shots. If you're just going to be taking videos and pictures of kids or family members or stuff like that, it's going to be fine, even if you want to throw an Instagram filter on there. But I'm sure that everyone knows this. For anyone serious and actually taking pictures, a tablet's camera isn't going to really be what you want to do. If you're interested, go get a smartphone that has a really good camera. But as far as cameras goes, it's nice to have this, and the 5 megapixel camera is something nice to have, but obviously image quality isn't going to be stellar, but it is passable. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to stay tuned for more Nexus 7 second generation content, let me know. Make sure to stay tuned, I guess, because I have more content coming. I'll be giving my review in a couple days about what I think of this device. This is my first Android device, my personal Android device. I've used Android before, but this is the first one that I've actually had that, this is all I use pretty much exclusively. So it'll be interesting, to give my review and let you guys know what I actually think about this. But besides that, I appreciate you guys watching. If you have anything specific you want to see, let me know. I appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.